Today, we are going to talk about a very interesting type of financing called the Australian warrant. In an Australian warrant, an investor buys a home with a regular bank mortgage. Then he makes a separate agreement with a secondary investor, a surrogate investor, who presumably does not qualify for a bank mortgage. According to this agreement between the original investor and the secondary or surrogate investor, according to this agreement, the property is sold to the surrogate investor at a higher price and with a mirror loan at a higher interest rate than the original interest rate for the mortgage. In the following example, we will illustrate how, through this sort of intermediation, the original investor might end up making a very high return on his investment. Let's assume the following characteristics for the original and surrogate loans. So we assume, from the viewpoint of the original investor, we assume that the purchase price of the property is $80,000. There is a down payment of $16,000 and closing costs of $2,500. So a total down payment of $16,000 plus $2,500 is $18,500. So the balance, meaning $80,000 minus $18,500, the balance, $61,500, is the amount to be financed through the mortgage. We assume an interest rate in the initial mortgage of 7%. We assume maturity of 25 years for the loan, and we then calculate the monthly payment, the installments, assuming the French system, and these are monthly installments for the loan over 25 years. So the monthly installments for the original investor will be of $434.67. From the viewpoint of the surrogate, well, the original investor will sell the property to the surrogate for $100,000. We'll ask for a down payment of $10,000. Say that the closing cost is $500. So the total down payment from the viewpoint of the surrogate is of $10,500. The amount to be financed by the surrogate with the original investor is $89,500, which is the difference between $100,000 and $10,500. Say that the interest rate of this secondary loan is 7.5%. Again, the same maturity of 25 years. So we calculate the new installments, the monthly installments to be paid by the surrogate to the original investor will be $661.40 every month. So let's see the net cash flows from the viewpoint of the original investor. Well, the original investor at the beginning ends up having a negative cash flow of $8,000, which is just the difference between the $18,500 that he had to pay to acquire the property as down payment, minus $10,500, which is the amount that he receives from the surrogate investor. So the net is $8,000. We know that the original investor is paying monthly installments of $434.67 and is receiving $661.40 from the surrogate investor for a net income of $226.73. So the original investor ends up with a net cash flow of minus $8,000 at the beginning, and then a positive cash flow of $226.73 monthly over 25 years. We can calculate the internal rate of return of this investment by the original investor, and we see that the return is 34%, which is very, very attractive. Let's comment about these results. The original investor ends up investing $8,000. In compensation, he collects $226.73 monthly during the 25 years, as we saw before. If the surrogate does not default, the property will be his at the end. So the surrogate acquires the property, and the original investor makes a 34% return investment. By acting as a high-risk financier, the original investor makes a 34% yearly return, and in addition, it has the property as collateral. because if the surrogate investor fails to pay, the original investor retains the property on his own name. So the risk is relatively, quite controlled. So let's conclude. It was shown how the Australian board allows a solvent investor to intermediate in a mortgage loan, allowing a riskier surrogate investor to purchase a home. We saw how, by acting as a high-risk financier, the original investor might make a very high return with the advantage of having the property as collateral. And this is all for the day. Thank you.